Hi, everyone, and welcome to Who to the Curve. And today we have Samantha again from polluted New Jersey. And is that true that cats have five eyes over there?
No.
Oh, I just heard that. And then myself, Robert Ruiz from, I'm looking outside. Yeah, I'm still in the Lower East Side. And we have a good topic to speak about today. And it's interesting because I'm a very big patriot. So the topic we're going to talk about is the generational disconnect, why Gen Z skepticism and millennials, not only Gen Z, but skepticism towards the US could spell trouble for our future. So meaning, what happened to, why aren't Gen Z and like millennials patriotic?
I just feel like it's a lot. Like, for me, like, I feel like our first big thing was 9/11. So I think as we got older, we started paying attention to more. And I don't know, I can't say what happened during elections when, the first Bush or even, the last Bush and Reagan. But, like, for now, like, I feel like we're paying attention more and it just sounds like mayhem. Like, everything that's been going on.
Well, I mean, you're right because politics could be definitely a maze. Like you could get lost. However, we could still be Americans, meaning I'm very patriotic. Like I'm American first before I'm Puerto Rican. Like if somebody's gonna badmouth Americans, even though what they're saying may or may not be true, because sometimes people have points, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about Americans, then you're talking about me. So I'm gonna be offended. It's not even if you're saying truth or not. Why? Because I'm proud to be an American, regardless of our situation now, and regardless of the like you said, the mayhem that's going on. Yeah, it's a little crazy. Like I've never experienced this, and I grew up in the '70s and '80s where there was crack and heroin all over the floor, like needles and like people were bugged. But these days now, it's a different type of bug. It's like you know parents can't even be parents anymore. Like kids are running the parents, and parents are afraid to tell their kids or reprimand their kids because they could end up in jail because they try to reprimand and do the right thing. And what you were doing is when you're doing the right thing and reprimanding your child, you're doing the right thing for society because you basically want your child to grow into society so they could function.
I agree there. Like, I've been in a situation where one time I was in public doing grocery shopping. My son, he was like 1, 2 years old, and he punched me in the face hard. And so I smacked his hand. And then you have old lady Sue coming up to me saying, "How dare you hit your child? I'm going to call the police or child services." I'm like, "Well, I got to do some shopping so you could call them." Like, it's true. Like, and I feel like that's the other part of it. Like, you say you're American, I say I'm Puerto Rican, and I wasn't even born on the island. I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
I The other thing is like history. America, the United States, I feel like is born off of genocide and lies. Even Puerto Rico, like we've had. I don't want to get too much into history to be honest, because then I we can make this a big subject. I feel, but we can't be a parent anymore. Like I have to be in public worried how I talk to my son, and I'm not doing that.
Right. So no. I get what you're saying, but I still think and again, I think you're just old enough. You were into that age where they still pledge allegiance in school and stuff like that. So most Gen Zs did that as well, but all of a sudden they turn their backs on the United States. But this is where they live.
I mean I understand it.
It's
I feel like it's one of those things where it's also how you feel. I mean, I'm not proud to be raising my son in a time where the government is basically supposed to tell me how to raise my kid. And this is going to bring up a crazy topic, I know it, but Like, if my son came to me right now, he's a child, he's in first grade,
Right.
and he came to me and he says, Mom, I want to go be a woman, I'm going to straight up say, no, it's not happening.
Oh, you said no, I would
And,
have punched him in his mouth. I'm like, don't ever say that again. And knock out his tooth.
and
His baby.
I just, at that point, he thinks Pokemon is more important than school. So you think I'm going to let him decide like
Right.
a really important decision? He comes to me at 25. Mom, I'm ready to go through this. I love you. I support you. I
Right.
can't support it now when he doesn't know how to wipe his butt properly still.
Right. Right. Right.
I don't think that is a decision for him to make. And now, apparently, if someone was to find that out, they could call child services on me and they'll take me to court and take my kid away. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean those are touchy situations. Again, I haven't been a father of young kids in 10,000 years. But back in the days we could beat our kids like senselessly. So
Yes, I
literally,
remember.
we could. So it was okay. But now I don't think it's a it's a wise thing. Depends. It also depends what state you're in. I mean, I don't think you should beat your kids, but I think slapping them upside the head once in a while, it's a little like wake up call, like boom. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
my slaps hurt more than other slaps, but once in a while they need a little shake up. But yeah, that's crazy. Now you see how what you just said, I can understand. I can relate to what you just said on why would I not why am I proud to be American when they're teaching these things to my children? That's not what I teach them. And again, if somebody wants to be gay or they want to be transgender, whatever, yeah, that's okay. But they shouldn't be allowed to make that choice at 8 years old or 9 years old. No, they just got to grow in, and if that's what they choose, then boom. Most I think most gay kids, and I know a lot of gay people, they know they're gay from the beginning. They just don't know how to express that. But that doesn't mean we go ahead and being gay and then changing your gender are two different things. Like, how am I just gonna rearrange what you came in as and allow that at 8 years old, and then later on when you're 19, 20, you're hating me because I allowed you to do that.
And that has been proven to be like a fact. So they're even bringing it into public schools. So my son's not in public school because of that reason.
Right.
Because I do teach my son to be very loving to your friends, things like that. And I found out that if I would have kept him in public school, they were going to teach him, it's okay to be gay. It's okay to love boys. And my son, he has a best friend and he loves his best friend. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But then I had a conversation with my friend who is gay. And I'm like, listen, maybe there's just something I'm not understanding since I'm not part of the community. Can you help me out? And he even said to me, he said, there's 20-year-old men who still don't know if they're gay or not. They're
Right.
confused.
Right.
Why would you put that on a 6-year-old who is just a loving kid and who's going to say, well, if I love this one, does that mean I'm gay? And again, that's going to be one of those situations where I'm going to say, no, you're not. You're a loving kid. And that's
Right.
okay.
Right. No, I mean,
So it,
they, yeah, I, I definitely get on why you wouldn't be too proud, or not proud, but why you would be upset with the whole American system because right now it's in chaos. Um,
mhm.
but let's say other things besides that. I mean, that is a good point. But let's say if you didn't have a child, like that's affecting you directly, and I could see that. Um, and I think that would affect me directly too if back in the days that happened. Like, you should let me teach my children anything
Yeah.
that's to do with sexuality or anything like that. However, in the 70s and 80s, our parents didn't talk to us about anything.
And
so,
I also heard
so
too.
we
So
got to
like a
learn
lot of
hard.
things are deja vu back in those times. So
We just learned as we went.
yeah.
We just learned, well, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And maybe that's why I had kids at an early age. But um, let's say you didn't have kids. Gen Zs and millennials, they have this like hatred towards the American system. And what I don't understand is this is the same system you live in. And a lot of these people that hate the United States, or that's what they portray or they say, they've never lived anywhere else. And why you think people are crossing these borders, risking their lives, risking their children's lives, because where they live is any better? No, because actually they know that we're fucked up here, but we're not as fucked up as where they're from. You
Right.
see what I'm
And
saying?
I agree with that. I feel like the other reason why people think America is so tough because a lot of people, like with immigration, people believe, and I know this because of what I know from experience from others. The American citizens, a lot of them believe that these immigrants who have no social security numbers have access to free health care, have access to food stamps and welfare and stuff. That's not the case at all.
Right,
In order to get like food stamps, health care, and all this stuff, you have to have a social. And America like they have a system to know if your social's fake or not. The only
right,
thing they do is work the jobs that there's lazy Americans. Let's be honest. There's lazy everything, but
right,
the immigrants work the $2 jobs that me and you will never touch.
right, right. No, no, you're right.
And people think that they're stealing jobs. No, they're taking the jobs that you don't want, that you can't take, that I won't take, and I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
I'm not going to stand out in the field, 12 hours a day. That's not me.
right.
So
No,
it's a lot of misconstrued also things. Like, again, they think that immigrants could take the food stamps, welfare, and that's not the case.
I think no, you're. I totally agree with what you just said. You kind of like took the book out of my mind because that's exactly what I think. Like, you know what? Nobody immigrants aren't stealing your jobs because they're doing jobs that nobody else wants to do. But you're here
Right.
crying that they're stealing a job and you can't find it. No, there's there. You just didn't want to do it. But in a case, now that we're talking about this, and I'm listening to you, but I'm also thinking, well, maybe Biden's just letting everybody into the borders because we need patriotic Americans. Because these people are doing everything possible to get here because they want to be here. Meanwhile, we got people born and raised here who don't want to be here, and all they do is complain. So why wouldn't I want to let a bunch of people come into the border so I can make new Americans that are proud to be here and actually make the system work?
It makes sense. But I also feel like, again, I have this conversation in my household. My fiance, he's of Mexican descent, so like I have these open conversations with him, and even he said there does need to be a point of better border control. I mean, when Trump had this idea of building a wall, we knew that wasn't happening.
Right,
He created a big story, but it wasn't happening.
right.
And Biden, I don't know. I'm very iffy with him. I some days I'm like, okay, maybe he's okay, and some days I'm like, he needs to get out of it.
Well, I think
In
he feels the
general,
same way.
probably because he's like, anyway, another conversation.
I,
but
no, I no, I kind of understand what you're saying. Um, Unfortunately, when we're letting people into the borders that are open, we can't pick and choose who we want. They're all just going to come in bad and good. So
yeah,
I think that's a big problem because there are literally not everybody crossing that border is a drug dealer. Not everybody crossing that border is a child molester or they're trafficking. No, they're coming here for a better life. They're sending their kids over by themselves, so at least they could try to get a better life. Because they know if they come, they might not even be accepted. They might be sent back. But if their kids come alone, they'll get papers and they'll become American eventually and go into the system. So there are really a lot of good people coming in for a good reason. But unfortunately, because if it's an open border, you're gonna get the shit
mm-hmm.
too that come with it, and
Yep,
that's that's a big issue that Trump was trying to control, but Biden undid that.
Yeah. And I think a part of it too, like, I recently saw the movie Sound of Freedom. I don't know if you saw it.
I haven't seen it yet.
It it also opened my eyes to certain things as well. And America has a lot to blame, honestly. Like,
Right,
watching Sound of Freedom. So this is going to bring a whole new topic, but child sex trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry in just America. Forget about the other countries, in just America.
right,
And I've been in situations where I've been followed with my child. Like,
right,
I don't trust nobody, and I will never,
right.
because it's a scary world. And if you can't protect your own American citizens, and this is where I understand certain people, why do you want to protect, why is it so hard for you to protect other countries when you can't protect your own?
That's another point. And you saying that, I could understand again why certain people aren't patriotic because they're confused. Like, what's going on here? Um, you know, it's crazy though. All this child trafficking is not done to through the poor because poor middle class can't afford to traffic children. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Like,
yep.
it's the rich people that have all that money and they could do that. You
It
know what I'm
is
saying?
the saddest truth about that. Like, the Sound of Freedom movie, I don't know anybody, so I'm not advertising for them. I'm just, because they give you all the facts in the movie. They had this movie for 5 years. Nobody wanted to release the movie. So eventually it just became released.
Right. And then
And it's
well, I
powerful, and you're like, huh.
most people that I spoke to, like yourself, are very emotional about the movie. Um,
Yes.
I just ever since I started doing the podcast and all the other shit that I do, I haven't been able to sit down and watch a movie. Like, and if I do
Yeah.
watch a movie, I'm listening to it while I'm working. So it kind of defeats the whole purpose because I miss everything. I miss the point. You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
and that's a movie that you have to pay attention to.
I guess eventually I'll get around to it because everybody, I mean, people, grown ass men have told me, "Oh, I cried and this and that." I'm like,
Yes.
"Oh, that's some
Yes.
crazy shit."
It is
Um,
definitely a trigger warning, I'll say. Like, for those who have been through certain things, like, it's definitely trigger filled. Like,
right,
I had anxiety watching the whole movie, but it's definitely, it opens your mind to a lot of things.
right. And it's weird now. Now that you're saying all these things, I guess I can understand more why they aren't so patriotic. When you look at it like that, I guess I came from a time where, yeah, shit like that happened, but guess what? There was no social media, so we weren't aware of stuff. Like, we were too
Yes.
busy, at least in New York City, we were too busy playing in the hydrant and the pump and running around. Like, we didn't spend a lot of time at home, so we weren't. I guess we weren't. Yeah, the word is we weren't aware of all the things that are happening now, and the same things happening now happened before, but now there's so many outlets, especially with social media,
Right. Yeah.
that people get all their information. So maybe you know what? Speaking to you kind of shed some light because maybe that's why I'm so patriotic still, and I just look the other way. I'm like a battered wife who knows their husband is playing them dirty, and I'm just looking the other way and hoping everything's okay. And that's how I feel now speaking to you because you're opening my eyes to certain things that maybe my eyes were closed, and maybe I was just looking the other way on it. But you're right. When you think of things like that, yeah, why would you want to be proud to be American? Or why would you like not proud to be American, but proud of the system that you live in?
Yeah. And I think, like, for me, it's more because when you said, like, I'm the battered wife, I look the other eye. For me, it's because I'm a mother that I
Right,
pay attention to this. Because before motherhood, I'd probably do the exact same thing. Like, I live in America, like, it's whatever, you know? But because I'm a mother, I'm aware of certain situations and certain things going on. So I think that's where it more comes from for me.
No, I think that you're absolutely right. So you actually shed some light on my old brain. I mean, I still don't disagree. I still don't agree with Gen Z and millennials, but you scored a point for them.
We got this, guys.
But with that said, you know, maybe things will change. I guess you young people have to make a change. That's through voting. I think people people vote because they heard somebody else is voting for that. I think people should do their research and find out who their politicians are, especially locally. I mean, we really don't
Yeah,
have too much control over the president because that's whole an electoral system. So if the majority of people in your state are voting for the president, then that's what it is. It doesn't matter if you cast a different vote, that's going to win. But locally, you have an effect because your vote actually counts locally. Not that your vote doesn't, I don't want to spread the whole thing that your vote doesn't count for the president, but in reality, it doesn't. But
no, yeah, no, it makes sense because in the United States, your one vote isn't gonna make or change,
as
the election.
but locally, for your local officials, if you're suffering because your local politician is doing dumb shit, it's their own fault. It's the fault of the people that live there because you put them into office. So I think people have to do more research before they go ahead and not go with oh well, my neighbor said they're voting for so and so, and that's what I'm going to vote for. No, make a decision on yourself. I don't before COVID, I was a conservative Democrat. And then after COVID and all that bullshit, I just like, you know what? I'm taking my conservatism and I'm going to become a Republican. So I'm a registered Republican now. But that doesn't mean I'm only vote Republican. No, if I like RFK. Like if he gets, I'm going to vote for his ass. Why? Because I like him. I like what he's about, and he's a Democrat.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? So I don't vote party wise. I vote what makes sense. You know,
yeah. That's what
because
I try to do. I honestly truly don't know what to register, whether I'm Democrat or Republican. I remember growing up, I was like, well, you're poor, so you're supposed to be a Democrat. And I'm like, okay.
well,
But it's
speaking
like you said, whoever makes sense.
speaking to you a little bit now. You could I see you have conservative thoughts, so you could say the day that you declare a party, you could say I'm a conservative Democrat or I'm a conservative Republican because being conservative is a mindset, but the party you affiliate yourself doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I feel like what you just have to do is listen to what's going on. Because, like with news, CNN is apparently fake, but then CNN says Fox is fake. You just have to listen to all the information and then start mathing everything together by yourself. And then that's how you go based off of your decision.
Absolutely. Great talking on this subject with you. You did shed some light. I guess I have to give you just gained millennials a point for some educated thoughts because normally they don't have educated thoughts. But you know what? You just gave them one. with with that said, uh, you know, you don't have to be patriotic because of the system, but you still live here. And again, for all you Gen Zs, millennial, now the alpha. So your child is going to be an alpha, right?
I guess so. I don't even know, honestly.
So just remember, the system you live in, you don't have to like, but we put the system in. But the country we live in is a lot better than a lot of other countries. Though we're not
Yes.
perfect, and I think if I lived in a perfect world, I would be scared.
Right, because something's going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. With that said, we'll catch you on the next segment, but don't forget to like us. Don't forget to subscribe. And again, don't forget to share us. And whatever else you got to do, don't forget to do that too. Oh, and don't forget, if you didn't like what I said, you could always try to shit on me. But remember, if you shit on me on the comments, then I'm gonna shit on you back. So you got to be prepared not to be butthurt. With that said, Thanks, and we'll catch you on the next segment.